We're here tonight to consecrate ourselves before God. Consecrate means to separate, it means to dedicate ourselves, to separate ourselves from the rest of the world. Why do we want to do that? Because we don't want to be treated like the rest of the world. As long as we run with the world, we will receive what the world gets. If you love the world, then the love of God cannot be in you. How do we distinguish ourselves from the world? We separate ourselves from the world. What we endeavor to do tonight, and I want you to know why you are here, to be distinctively different from the world. You need to get this. You need to understand the purpose is to separate you from the world, to give you something that makes you different from everyone else, to show that you are coming because of Christ and you will honor God. And God says, those who honor me, I will honor. I want us to be set apart from the sicknesses that are in the world, the disease, from the filth of the world. God says, consecrate yourself. Set yourself apart. He brought a people that he set apart from the world. He made them distinctively different. He required them to eat differently, to dress differently. They could have been like everybody else, but God set them apart because he was going to bless them. All I'm endeavoring to do is to set you apart for the blessings of God. That's all. It's troublesome, but don't you think it's troublesome when they had to have kosher food to eat? Everybody else was eating everything. Do you remember Daniel? When Daniel was carried off into captivity, they gave him the best that there was, the best food that the king would prepare because they were unique in the eyes of the king. But what did Daniel do that distinguished himself? Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego. They said, we don't want what the king has offered. We will separate ourselves. Give us something different from everybody else. Treat us differently. And we know what God did with Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, because they endeavored to be different. The world wants you to line up with them, to follow in the track of what men do. Want you to think like everyone else. They put you in categories so that you act like everyone else. You act like black people. You act like white people. You act like the intelligentsia. You act like certain things. But you must never be defined by the world. You must see yourself separate from the world. Read the Bible and see how God separated his people. You are here to separate yourself. We are children born of God. You are a blessed people, a holy nation, a royal priesthood. But how do you get that if you keep only listening to the world, watching what's on television, being indoctrinated daily by the prince of the power of the air, who controls the airwaves, who are causing our young children to think things that are abominations to God today? We must separate ourselves. We must not be part of the world. We must never let it get in us. We must come to think like the Israelites in the land of Goshen. The plagues came upon Egypt, but it did not touch the Israelites. Why? Because they distinguished themselves from the Egyptians. What did they do? First of all, by the grace of God, they just had to be God's people. And all the plagues came. But it didn't happen in the land of Goshen. Why didn't it happen in the land of Goshen? That's where the Hebrews were. They were separated from the Egyptians. But there was one plague that just being in the land wasn't going to protect them. It required them to partake of a meal according to the prescription that God said, to slaughter a lamb and place the blood on the doorposts of the house. And then when the death angel came, those that were obedient to separate themselves further by putting blood on their doorposts, the death angel could not enter their home. Let me show you and get you to understand that there were Hebrews that didn't put the blood on their doorposts. and they did not survive. There were Hebrews that did not follow the faith as God said. And though they were Hebrews, believers, they were not delivered. We are missing the understanding of the truth of the gospel because we still cling and hold on to the world and try to see ourselves as part of the world when we're not. We should be set aside as a royal priesthood, and we need to get that in our heads. Satan doesn't want us to know our true identity. But we set ourselves apart, and that's what I endeavor to do, to be distinctively different. And then, Lord, I pray distinction on everyone in here so that they are distinctively different than everyone else. Bless them, Lord. Because, Lord, they have trusted your servant. And because they have trusted your servant, they have honored your servant, Lord, they have honored you. You have to understand that. Jesus said that if you honor the ones that I sent, you honor me. Guys, no matter where your life is right now, you have honored the man of God over this house. You're entitled. What you don't know is the reason you don't ask for certain things. You don't believe you can get them. I'm trying to build your faith up now to recognize by your difference tonight, you have position to say to God, this I desire. And he said, whatever you ask for, you can receive it. I'm giving you something to build on. Lord, I have treated you differently. I have sacrificed. And why will he do it? That's one of the things Satan doesn't want you to know. He's going to do it for a simple thing. Tonight, I'm going to only give you one. And it's because of covenant.